Hi guys, this is AstroCast back with another astrology update. For all my new subscribers, hello, welcome to my channel. And for all my returning subscribers, I really appreciate all of your love and support. It just really helps me grow my channel. And every time that you guys engage, liking, subscribing, commenting, it means the world to me because it shows me what you're enjoying and it helps me with the algorithm. It helps me build my channel, which I really appreciate because I would love to be doing this more full time and giving you guys some more content. So when I know what you guys are enjoying, it really helps me to get in that creative frame of mind. It's also a great energy exchange, so it doesn't cost you anything. And it also helps me with the energy that I'm putting out there and giving to you guys through the astrology. Don't mind me today. I'm having a very casual day. My little boy is unwell. He's just sleeping on the couch. I'm at home catching up on some housework because it's the one day of the week that I have off work, and I'm at home with my little toddler. But I just thought, let's have a look and discuss some more astrology transits. We have some big ones coming up in 2025, and I know that everybody is really interested to see what's happening or what this all means, what it's all about. So, let's just jump into it and have a bit of a chat about all of this. Um, if you notice anything yourself, definitely pop it in the comments below. Obviously, I don't claim to know everything. I just really enjoy astrology. And I just like sharing kind of what comes through intuitively and what I kind of see. And as I said, we've got a lot of big astrology aspects coming up next year that I just thought would be so interesting for us to talk about. So, I've already done the Neptune and Aries transit type energy. So this one is more so focused on Uranus moving into Gemini. And this is going to happen in 2025. Um, as you can see the date on here, it is the 8th of July that will happen. Um, so that is set for Australian time, by the way. So check your time zone. It might be a little bit different. Um, okay, so I haven't got any notes or anything like that written down. I just thought I would kind of just chit chat like I'm a Gemini. I just thought let's just talk it through and have a bit of a chat on exactly like what comes to mind. So when we think about the planet Uranus, Uranus is electrifying. It's exciting. It's shocking. It's surprising. It can be a bit chaotic. It can be a bit unpredictable. Um, it's very much that energy of change. So expect the unexpected. That's the Uranus energy or Uranus. It also rules over the 11th house and Aquarius. It is a more modern kind of ruler of Aquarius. The traditional ruler is Saturn, obviously, for Aquarius. But when we think about that Aquarius energy and 11th house, we also think about friendships, networks. We think about technology, the internet. We think about revolutions and we think about humanity and standing up for the little people. We think about society kind of rising. And that is kind of an element that's going to get pulled into that Gemini third house. Because when we think about, again, that 11th house, which is the groups we're a part of, it's our friendships, that's our audience. And we think about that Uranus energy, which is about being eccentric and quirky and being unique and being a bit rebellious. We're kind of bringing all of that energy into the Gemini house of our charts, and kind of globally, this is going to kind of play out with a really unique energy. It's something that we haven't seen for quite a long time. And Uranus normally spends about 8 years in each zodiac sign. Depending on retrogrades, it can be a little bit longer, a little bit less, but roughly about 8 years. That's quite a long time to spend in one house. And it is quite a slow moving planet because it is one of the outer planets. So, what I kind of predict we're going to see for a lot of 2025 is some big creative innovations. That is also that Aquarius energy and Uranus energy, because think like mad scientists, think it's literally it's science. It also rules over astrology and things like that. So anything that's like scientific, astrology also kind of falls into that Aquarius 11th house energy, the internet, computers, all that kind of stuff, AI. So I'm not surprised we're going to see a lot kicking off with robots, AI, humanoids, or humanism, um, transhumanism. I don't really know what technology or so I don't really know the correct terminology that you would use for that, but I think it's like transhumanism, which is like robots and humans and like the AI kind of like all mixing together. So I do see that being a really big thing. And that is partly because Pluto's dipping into Aquarius, but also because Uranus is shifting into that new sign of Gemini. And again, Gemini is an air sign. So, Aquarius is an air sign, Gemini is an air sign. So Uranus does kind of thrive in that airy kind of energy. So when we think about everything that could be coming, it's very exciting. So that's kind of one of my big predictions is that we're going to get some big, huge inventions. Now, these inventions are going to be around that Gemini kind of house and energy. So for me, Gemini rules my third house. So have a look at your chart and kind of see where that Gemini energy is because it could be in a different area for you. But with Uranus in Gemini, Gemini rules over like small groups, your neighborhood, your like community, your local community. It rules over short distance travel. It rules over things like siblings, Gemini energy in the third house. It also rules over like trade and news and it can link to like the social media aspect. So, emails and writing, communicating thoughts, primary school or your early school days, kind of all fall into that Gemini kind of third house energy. Gemini energy is very flexible, it's very adaptable, it's very curious, it's very social as well, very charming. It can be very witty. It is also very much like a chameleon. It can be a bit of a trickster, a bit of a jack of all trades. There can be a bit of mischief and lying with that Gemini energy and the Mercury energy. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, especially with like the internet and social media. It can also link to like cafes and just like those local routes that you kind of go on to like when you're going to like work or doing your everyday thing. So it's really about that tight community, that neighborhood, your close community. So I find this is all very interesting when I'm thinking about that Uranus energy of like innovation. Mercury, the third house, and Gemini also rule over transport. So I think like buses, trains, cars, like that short distance transport, the public transportation, which kind of tells me that we might be getting some big changes coming to like our local everyday kind of travel. So I'm not surprised that we are really pushing for like electric cars. I'm not surprised that we've got lots happening with drones, so like drone taxis. Um, we're getting like the first flying cars. We are allegedly getting a lot of, and I'm sorry if I'm saying too much. This is because I don't have anything written down, and literally in my Gemini head, I'm just kind of brain dumping on you. So I do apologize. I know that I say it a lot and I can't stop it when I'm in the mode of like discussing things. I talk really quick, I get excited, I talk with my hands, I say a lot. So bear with me. I hope you guys enjoy that because that's just me. And there are plenty of other channels to watch if you don't enjoy that kind of side of things, but that's just me. I'm already apologizing for it, but that's just how I am. I know that I'm doing it. I'm very aware of it, and I will definitely try to keep that to a minimum. So again, I think we could get more electric buses. We can get more fast transports. So think the magnetic trains and stuff like that that are happening in Japan. Think really high speed trains and transport. So going from one end of a country to another really, really fast. Think also if this could even be underground, like deep underground trains, and as I said, like magnetic trains and stuff like that, that can go super, super high speed. Things like speeds we haven't even ever thought of or seen before. We can potentially get again changes with airplanes and like flying. I just think that there is going to be some huge changes with public transport. So there is also talks. I know Elon Musk has been really big with inventions and technology at the moment, and I know that he has invented these taxis that are electronic or electric, or sorry, that they don't have a driver and they can take you from, point B sorry, point A to point B, reasonably quickly. No driver. These are just self-driving taxis. There is also like electric buses and bigger transport and bigger cars coming out that are like fully electric. A lot of cars that like self-driving, as I said, flying cars, really futuristic type stuff that, we probably should have had a while ago and everyone kind of thought was going to be the future. All of that kind of stuff's like what I kind of see coming in. It'll also show not really needing to travel to places as much because I really feel like there could be, underground trains that are dropping off deliveries like really quickly. So think like if you order big furniture or if any kind of products, I feel like there could be like really quick drop-offs in like a close depot area, or there could be like drones that are like delivering things to your doorstep really easy and really quickly. So you won't have to go through the typical post service. Again, as I mentioned, taxis, so drones for taxis, self-driving taxis and electric cars, all of those sorts of things are what I'm kind of predicting that we're going to have, which we're already starting to hear talks of. Like Elon is already kind of like, I've got this, and this. They're already bringing out robots as well to kind of help with your everyday activities, which really links to Gemini and Virgo and Mercury energy. So I'm not surprised that that's happening with that Pluto and Aquarius. And just as Uranus is getting ready to move into Gemini, because the third house does rule over kind of things that you do every day, and so does Mercury and Virgo. Sorry, Virgo is like your everyday routine, that sixth house type energy, but Mercury somewhat does rule over that side of things as well. So I really do see that we are going to start having a lot of technology that is going to be implemented into our everyday activities to make things a lot easier. Cooking, cleaning, housework, getting to work on time, taking over all of those small jobs, taking over all of those things that we don't really want to do. I feel like, how we went through the Industrial Revolution? I feel like we're going through like a technology revolution, an AI revolution, where we're going to see a lot of people getting laid off from work because those jobs are going to be taken over by robots and going to be inundated in that kind of way. But there will be brand new jobs and new concepts created, just like what happened with the Industrial Revolution. So that's going to kind of shift and be very interesting. We've even seen a lot of videos coming out. I don't know if you have, but sorry, I've seen a lot of videos where even I think it was either Coles or Woolworths, one of those supermarkets has like created the first massive big warehouse. I think it is in Sydney, and it's kind of like run by robots where they kind of like pack the orders in this big warehouse and it's done really quickly. And I feel like that's kind of going to be what's going to happen as well with supermarkets and food shopping. As I said, I don't think we're going to have to leave the house as much and kind of go places to do things. Everything we're going to want is going to be at the click of our buttons. Like you want to order a coffee, instead of having to go to the coffee shop, it'll just get delivered to your door really quickly by like a drone or something like that. You want to order your groceries, no problem. The robots will pick everything in the warehouse. They'll put it all in boxes real quick and it'll be delivered to your house super fast. That's the type of energy that I'm kind of seeing and getting for 2025. Now, next year is only going to be the start, the preview. So we're going to hear the ideas and see some of these things coming out, but it won't really be until between 2026 and 2028 where these things really start to kick off and we're going to see things a bit more. Because remember, this is an 8-year cycle of Uranus going through Gemini. So there are going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to kind of think about in that, area. So, it's not going to happen straight away next year. Like not all of this is going to unfold, but these seeds are going to be planted because this is the start of the transit. So there will be some of these things coming out slowly. But it's a big technological shift. I think we're going to get a whole heap of brand new social media platforms, especially because we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius and then Uranus in Gemini. This is just screaming massive social media platform changes, massive technology changes, big changes to the internet. I also think we might even start to get some big talks about global warming, and maybe like ways that we can kind of lower our emission through, let's say, power and power usage. Maybe there's going to be like a new clean form of energy, like a new clean energy. Maybe that could be something we're going to find through that 8-year transit. I don't suspect that'll be 2025, but in the future, very, very soon, I feel like maybe we'll find like a really cool clean energy source with this type of energy. Now, there are going to be heaps of new inventions around Gemini things, cars, transport, communication, talking. So, mobile phones, I would say that's very much a third house thing. Emails, all of this stuff's going to change. It's not going to look like how we used to have it. Like our social media platforms are like a third house Gemini type energy as well. So, we're going to have some brand new platforms for all this kind of stuff, brand new phones. Maybe we're going to start to get more of those holographic phones, really big inventions around that technology. I know a lot of people have been kind of speculating that we'll have phones in our hands and chips in our hands. Wouldn't be surprised if eventually that happens. Not too sure if that'll be next year. I don't think so. But Elon Musk is talking about his Neuralink and the brain chips, the chips that go in your brain. That is very much a Uranus in Gemini because Gemini rules over your thoughts, how you communicate, so how you think about things, how you process things, how you communicate, and how you learn, because it does rule over primary school and those sorts of things. So the chip in the brain is going to be a massive thing, I think, as well in 2025 and as, follows for the next few years. Big discussions there, big progress there. I also feel like that's going to pave the way. Sorry, I'm still a little bit sick as well. So if I'm pausing, it's just because like try not to cough. But I think there's also going to pave the way for some big changes with school environments. So I think primary school, middle school, that kind of energy, because when we think about it, the pandemic that we had back in 2020 all the way through to like, kind of now, that really changed how people go to work and how we go to school. There was people doing homeschooling, like getting on Zoom. That's when Zoom really kicked off. Zoom really picked up and everyone had to work from home and jump on Zoom. School was all done on Zoom. Before that, no one was really using Zoom. It wasn't really a thing. Pandemic happened, boom, Zoom is massive. As for, other platforms that were similar, they all kind of got pretty big, but Zoom just blew up. I feel like because of like things like that, where we were kind of shown that we can work from home a bit more and that we can study and do schooling online quite easily. It's not as hard as what people were making it out to be. I do suspect that more people will opt for homeschooling because of that Uranus in the third house. I also feel like there could be a bigger push for students not to have to go to school if they don't want to. So I feel like a lot of primary schools and middle schools will offer more flexibility so that students can jump on online and participate in the schoolwork from home. Whether eventually schools will completely go online and there won't be actual primary schools or middle schools that students go to, I don't know. I doubt that they'll ever completely go away anytime soon, but I definitely see a big push for that because one, obviously, as I said, the pandemic already showed that that could happen and it could be an option. It's already also shown that more people are putting trust in themselves and their community and wanting to homeschool their children instead of sending them to school and having other people look after them and teach them. But there's also safety concerns. So when you think about the fact that when a lot of children go to schools, especially in the US, there are a lot of issues with let's just say weapons. Okay. I think if you read between the lines, you'll understand the severity of mental health and weapons being taken to school and used to harm mass groups of people at school. huge safety concerns. They are really trying to regulate those laws. But again, this has been something that's been discussed for a long time. It hasn't actually happened yet. What could end up being a solution or an option there is that students don't go to school because it's not safe. That would minimize that aspect and students getting harmed at school. But there is also like a huge area of school that is focused on trying to help with mental health and bullying as well, which means that that is something that is quite prominent in schools. So I feel like the homeschooling or again, virtual school option might actually help with people that are being bullied at school or having mental health issues or having suicidal ideation. This can help because they might be in a safer environment at home with their friends and family and not face to face. However, that it won't solve all the problems because bullying can still happen online. It is very present online. So I don't think that would completely navigate all of that. But I do hear a lot of stories of, young people being bullied and it's severely, severely impacting their mental health as young as people that are 12 years old and not really feeling like they can go on, which is really sad. And that's one thing I worry about constantly as a parent is that will they be safe at school? How is their mental health going to be impacted? I want my children to go to school and learn and be social and have friends and have so much fun. But it's super hard because not every kid at school is going to be nice to your child, and your child's not going to fit in and get along with everybody. And it's okay to not get along, and it's okay to be different. But what's not okay is to target a certain individual or person and bully them every day and break their mental health down to a point where it's so, so low that they can't function or learn. They don't want to go to school. They're losing their sparkle, their shine. They really need to be able to go to school and make friends and be able to thrive and be creative and find their special life purpose, gifts that they can kind of put out there and turn into a career in the future. So that kind of leads me to thinking that homeschooling or virtual schooling will be an option for a lot of families that choose to do that. A, for the cost of sending your kids to private schools and those sorts of things. B, the pandemic has showed us that that is an option. C, safety concerns, massive safety concerns about your child being hurt in some way, whether that's through bullying, through weapons being taken to school, through arguments and fights and conflicts, whatever that is, there is going to be huge safety concerns that might be able to be negated through the virtual schooling option. So I definitely kind of think that that could definitely be a thing that comes on the rise if it doesn't happen with Uranus going through Gemini. It definitely could be something that's talked about or starting to get movement and traction during that transit. But again, I definitely think with all these technological advancements that we 100% can see virtual schools for students. We already know that a lot of the time in university or high school that that is an option. There are classes that have been very flexible, and then the pandemic happened and even more options are being flexible. There are still some courses that are face-to-face and have to be, but predominantly in high school and college and university, they are starting to bring in more flexible options and virtual options for online courses and studying. So that could certainly be a thing that we can see. The one other thing I will point out is that if you have a look into the US Sibley chart, they are coming in for their Uranus return. So that's going to be closer to like, I think 2027 when it goes exact, maybe 2026. I'll have to get an exact date and I'll pop it in the comment in the title or the information box below. But I think when Uranus moves into Gemini, it's still going to start to trigger some of that energy for the US's Uranus return. It'll only be there for a short period of time before it retrogrades back, and then it'll be there more officially in 2026. That's when we'll probably feel it a bit more, but we will still get a little preview, a little peek at their Uranus return, which is interesting because they've only recently had their Pluto return. And then, like a year or year and a half to 2 years after, they're going to start to move into that Uranus return energy. So the US is going to be going through some big shifts and changes around money because the Pluto return was in their second house, and also that Gemini eighth, I think it's their eighth house, I believe, or seventh house. Is it their seventh house? It's one of those. Sorry, no, it is their seventh house. Sorry. Yeah, so big changes in their second house of money, and then their seventh house of like relationships, partnerships. So that doesn't look good for potentially relationships with other nations and countries. That can be a bit surprising and shocking. Lots of changes there, a lot of instability, uncertainty. So watch that space. I predict that there could be more conflicts coming for the US and big issues with like partnerships and like legal sides of things there. I don't know. That's kind of something that I feel like we will come up a bit. So with all that being kind of said, I think I did a little bit touch on the thoughts and communications changing through schools and through education, but also through like the Neuralink and technologies like that. I feel like there's going to be a lot more studies and inventions around the brain, around how we think and process things. So a lot more options, as I said, for learning online, but also a lot more technology that might be able to help us learn faster that's linked to our brain or something like that, something around that area. A lot more technology that is going to really impact our everyday thoughts and communication. So we could even have a lot of advancements in devices and technologies that helps us translate, say, other languages. So, for example, when you're traveling and you don't know how to speak, that foreign language, quite often people try and use dictionaries or like translate on their phone, and it's still very, very tricky and not an easy thing to do. I suspect that we could get some really good inventions that make it super simple, that basically you talk into, they talk into, and the device kind of translates for you really quickly and smoothly and easily. I think there's going to be something similar to that that's going to come out. It's going to be very accessible and really trendy and cool, so that it makes language and speaking a bit easier. We might even have some changes where we will actually be able to maybe start to see some inventions and some scientific evidence around communicating with animals or other conscious sentient beings. Aliens could be another big thing that comes up. Communication, disclosure around aliens, alien life force, entities from other countries. Sorry, countries. Entities from other planets, or from the other parts of the universe. That could certainly be something that comes up. I do feel like with the Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus moving into Gemini, we are going to have a lot of discussions about aliens, alien technology, alien transport. That could be where our clean energy comes from. This could be where our futuristic technology comes from. This could also be where fast, really quick travels and different things like that come into play. I think there's going to be a lot around aliens, alien technology. So think spaceships and transport and all that stuff. Nothing is off the table. I think for this 8-year transit, we will get alien disclosure, UFOs. We will probably be talking to aliens or beings from other parts of the universal planets. So keep that in mind. Buckle up. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. That's, I guess, a lot of what I kind of see happening for 2025 and, the rest of this transit with Uranus in Gemini. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could talk about and that I'm missing, and I'll definitely try and touch base if I need to redo and make another part 2 of this video. But just comment below and let me know your thoughts on all of this. The last thing I will mention, actually, because it just popped into my head, and that's my ginger cat. is that I do think we're going to have big changes to our neighborhoods and communities. So I think the way our houses and neighborhoods and communities and cities are all set up is going to be very different. They might start to look very futuristic and very like technologically advanced. I also think that we will have some communities and places that kind of go back to more of like the off-grid, living off the land, the typical like farming kind of lifestyle. So more really small, tight-knit communities and neighborhoods, if that makes sense. So I kind of see there being a bit of a divide. There's going to be a lot of living off the land, farmers, like less tech side of people, a tech group, sorry. There's going to be a lot of that in the community and society moving forward, but there's also going to be huge parts of the neighborhoods and communities that are very tech advanced. So big push for communities and more group living lifestyle and living off the land, and a big push for the technology revolution, cities and advancements there. So that could be something, especially with Uranus in Gemini, that pops up a lot, which I think is going to be super, super interesting. It's going to change a lot of things, but I guess we won't really know more until next year. But I really hope that some of these predictions kind of give you a bit of a guidance with the energy that's going to be coming up for next year. There's a lot of tech coming, a lot. And it's even more exciting because I think it's in August, around the end of July and August, we have four of the big outer planets. So Saturn and Neptune will be in Aries. They'll move into the first degrees of Aries. You've got Uranus moving into the first degrees of Gemini and Pluto moving into the first degrees of Aquarius, all at the same time making aspects to each other. This is huge. Like, this is a really big energy shift. Like, four of the outer planets, the big outer planets, all changing signs and moving into new degrees at the same time. Once in a lifetime energy. This is never going to happen again for us in our lifetimes. This is huge, big, big new world energy. And I'm excited, but also very, very curious about what's to come and what our world is going to look like in a few years' time because of these big changes that are going to start to happen in 2025. I don't think, like, in 10 years' time, I don't think we're even going to know ourselves. Like, looking back, I think in 10 years' time, when we look back at where we've come from, we're going to be like, holy crap, that was a huge shift and a big jump for humanity that we've made in such a short period of time. Like, 10 years sounds like a long time, but it's actually not really that long. Wow, this is just going to be amazing. And I do think that a lot of these changes are going to be for the better overall for humanity, because there are a lot of nice aspects happening between the outer planets at this time, like a lot of trines and sextiles. So I do anticipate that a lot of these changes will be quite good overall for humanity, but we're going to have to pick what we're willing to um kind of do and how we're going to change the future. I think we might also hear a lot about global warming and maybe how we can change it, as I already said. So I also think that we're going to change a lot around electricity, around food and wastage, and how we're having a huge, big impact on Mother Earth. That's going to be a huge theme as well, I think, for next year. But I really hope you enjoyed this one. And if you did, don't forget to give it a like. Subscribe so you don't miss anything on my channel and you can see all my new videos when they come out. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts on communication. I love communicating with you guys. So pop some comments below. Let's communicate and talk. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.